Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvenavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verses 21 to 25.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्तः सर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महविः ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतं ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्मकर्मसमाधिना दैवमेवापरे यज्ञं योगिनः पर्युपासते ब्रह्माज्ञावपरे यज्ञं यज्ञो नैवोपजुह्वति.
In this chapter 4, we have seen up to shloka number 21. Now in this portion, from verse 19 till 24, he's talking about how the actions of a Gnani doesn't bind the Gnani. Now the Gnani, after enlightenment, maybe in worldly life, like any one of us, or a Gnani could have taken up sannyasi lifestyle, renunciation lifestyle. Doesn't matter what lifestyle a Gnani takes to, whether it is of a active worldly lifestyle or it is of a sannyasi lifestyle. Whatever lifestyle a person after enlightenment may be following, the actions of the enlightened person does not bind the enlightened person. That's what he's trying to say. So, we are consciously using the term enlightenment purposely because we have our own ideas of this concept of realization, awakening. What does awakening mean? When you awaken means what? You rise above all your vasanas. You rise above all your conditionings. And we said our vasanas are split into three categories called Sanchita and then Prarabdha and Agami. Sanchita means total vasanas. Prarabdha are those vasanas that propelled us to take birth. And Agami are those vasanas that we create once we are born as a human being. Now, once having taken the human embodiment, we can add to our existing total vasanas or we can exhaust the existing vasanas from Sanchita. Prarabdha we have to go through because it is that which propelled us. It is like, you've already pulled the trigger of a gun. The bullet has already left the gun. So it will have its due course. So the prarabdha vasanas are those set of vasanas that has propelled us to take birth. We have to exhaust them through experience. Now, when we are born as a human being, we have the choice to add to our total sanchita or exhaust the sanchita. When we exhaust the sanchita vasanas, we are called enlightened. We have realized the truth. Now, once we reach that level, thereafter, we are functioning merely propelled by prarabdha. Now, the prarabdha of the enlightened people vary from person to person. So, if it is of being in the world and functioning like any one of us, they will do that. If some people want to lead a, secluded lifestyle for whatever purpose it may be, they will be in such lifestyle. But both of them, whatever lifestyle they may be leading, they will be grounded in the knowledge of the self. Their identification will be with the Atma within, never with the body, mind, and intellect complex thereafter. So, therefore, actions of such people, whatever lifestyle they may be following, is not binding, is what he is talking about in this topic. So, we have seen so far verse 19 and 20, where he talked about person who is in the world after enlightenment. 21, the last shloka that we saw, talks about after enlightenment, somebody who is in a renunciation lifestyle. Now, when we keep on saying enlightenment, enlightenment, what does that mean? It is established in the knowledge of the self. You gain the knowledge of the self, you understand what the self is all about, identify with it, and slowly exhaust all the vasanas, then completely established in that knowledge of the self. And Atma is akarta, abhokta. It doesn't do anything. It is only an enlivening factor. So in this context, we always bring the example of electricity. Electricity enlivens all the gadgets. It enlivens the, the grinder to grind. It enlivens the bulb to give light. So like that, every different gadget functions according to its nature, expresses according to its nature, but they cannot do so without the support of electricity. Exactly like that, without the support of the enlivening principle called Atma, which is our original nature, the body, mind, intellect per se are insentient. They cannot function. It is the Atma that enlivens these three. So the body, mind, intellect does the action. Body perceives and acts. Mind feels various emotions. Intellect thinks of various thoughts. Thinks and contemplates. So all these actions are going on, but Atma has got nothing to do with it except in its mere presence, all the gadgets, the body, mind, intellect functions. Once a Gnani who is established in knowledge with this total understanding, whatever actions he or she may be doing, those actions do not bind that person because the person has no motive whatsoever. The person has no motive to do or not to do. Allows the nature to express. Now, in this context, another important question that may arise is, then is it possible that a Gnani may commit a dharma? Because anything he can do, still he is not bound. So even if he murders somebody, does it mean that he will not incur karma? So that's why I said, in the case of a Gnani, once you have awakened with awareness, it is impossible to do any, adharmic action. Impossible. for which we have given the example of film roll in a camera. Those days, in the analog camera, there were these film rolls. You could take about 36 pictures, and then you put those film rolls in a dabba, in a box, close it and give it in the studio. The guy takes it to the dark room and develops it. The film roll is called as negative. So we say negatives can only be developed in dark room, in darkness. Negative cannot be developed when it is exposed to light. The moment it is exposed to light, it cannot be developed anymore. Similarly, the moment a person is awakened to the consciousness within, in that state of awareness, whatever may be the nature of the person, it cannot function in the adharmic way. So we have given a few more examples also. Like for example, some youngsters and all, I believe, they, get into this hacking. They're quite smart. So they get a kick out of it. So they may be doing a lot of hacking on it. So what happens, these companies, the software companies, they hire them. They give them job. And they use their talent to create anti-hacking softwares. Because they know how the hackers will hack. So they will be able to bring in the antidote for it. So the same nature is used in a positive way. Exactly like that. The moment you become aware, whatever may be your nature, it will only be directed in the positive direction. It can never go in the negative. So in this context, I also gave you one story. I'm just mentioning these things because some of you might have not attended previous class, so it will be easy for you to continue the thought flow. A guy who committed a murder was caught by police and was proven in the court that he committed the murder. And when the judge was about to pronounce the sentence, the guy who committed the murderer, he has attended few Vedanta sessions. So he said, see, my body, mind, intellect only committed the murder. I am Atma. I didn't commit the murder. So don't put me in jail. Don't pass any negative sentence against me. The judge also happened to attend the same Vedanta class, but he understood the knowledge correctly. So he said, listen, correct, what you're saying is correct. You are Atma. Atma doesn't murder. Atma doesn't do anything. Body, mind, intellect only committed the murder. So we are arresting and imprisoning the body, mind, intellect only. So in other words, this story is to be understood in the right context. Because many of us, we are not enlightened. We are just informed of what Gita is talking about. So with that information, we may, with wrong understanding, start thinking that whatever I may do will be absorbed. We do have motive. We have desire to do, we have desire not to do. So when Arjuna sat down in the first chapter, at the end of the first chapter, Arjuna sits down saying, I will not fight. He has a motive not to do. So there is doership. Even though he is not doing the action, there is doership. That doership will make sure it will bring in vasanas and bind the person. And another person may do things with motive. Now you take the opposite. Such a person also will incur sin. Now you take the opposite. Like Sri Krishna, doing the action but has no motive. Simply expressing the nature. Absolutely no motive whatsoever. Therefore, actions of an enlightened is not binding. Now, in 21, last shloka that we saw, is talking about a sannyasi. He says, Nirashi yata chittatma tyaktva sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan Kurvan api apnoti kilbisham. Na apnoti kilbisham. See, nirashi, expecting nothing, hoping for not, hoping for nothing. I explained this, doesn't mean that he's a hopeless fellow. He or she who is enlightened, with the knowledge, they've become so courageous and so unconditioned and free that they are not operating at the level of the mind. It is the mind that operates at the level where you either, are anxious of the future or worried of the past. So in the case of a Gnani, there is no anxiety about the future, no worries of the past. A Gnani lives consciously how animals live, but unconsciously. This is what beautifully J. Krishnamurti ji said, that animals are unconsciously perfect. Human beings are consciously imperfect. So, the imperfection means the motive. Animals have no motive. They're hungry, they just eat. They're not thinking about past and future. There is no hunting and storing for future in animals. You understand? So, they are vulnerable to the nature, the heat, the cold, the rain, everything. So, a sannyasi, even one who is having sannyasi spirit, though in the worldly life, he also lives like this. But here he's talking about sannyasi exclusively. That person has no expectations whatsoever. Today when I go for bhiksha, will I have nice meals with sweet and everything? Or will I have maybe just 2 rotis and dal? Or maybe I'll have nothing. No expectations. When they go for bhiksha, bhavati bhikshandehi, when they go for bhiksha, no expectations whatsoever. So he says, hoping for nothing. Being in the present, totally identified with the Atma within. Yata chitta Atma. Chitta means mind. Atma here means the body. The body and mind both are controlled. They are not just wearing akar robe and controlled at the physical level, but mentally lingering. Mentally and physically both they have withdrawn. And then he says, Tyaktva sarva parigraha. Renouncing all possessions. This is literally true in the case of a sannyasi. Because a sannyasi means what? When anybody takes up sannyas lifestyle, they in fact give up their name also. And they are rechristened with another name. Usually it has the suffix of Ananda. Narendra Datta became Swami Vivekananda. So, the past is buried. Future, they have no anxiety. They left it to the nature and zero possessions, literally. Literally zero possessions. And even if they're wearing just 1 or 2 sets of clothes and maybe a begging bowl and a staff, maybe whatever it is, a stick, whatever it is, the small possessions, even that they have no possessiveness. Another person who is living in the world, but a Gnani may have a lot of possessions, but he also has no possessive attitude towards them. In this case here, literally possessions are also not there. So therefore he says, Tyaktva sarva parigraha. See, when you really analyze, you can't really possess it. including this body. We are only tenants in this body. We live in this body for a while, then we leave this body. So this body also is given to us only temporarily. Really speaking, whom does it belong to? It belongs to the divinity, the totality. No ownership claiming on anything for that matter. Zero identification. That's what it means. Having relinquished all possessions and doing merely bodily action. See, it can be interpreted in both ways. Functioning just at the body level is one interpretation. Other is those little actions that is to be done to just maintain this body. That much only sannyasi does. You may say, why does he have to maintain the body? He has no motive to even kill the body. The prarabdha, whatever it is, let it get exhausted. So therefore, doing merely bodily action, he incurs no sin. I told you, sin in Vedantic parlance means Vasanas, neither good nor bad, neither punya nor papa. No punya, no papa. Simply doing the action. Such people don't incur any sin, no agitations, no vasanas. The chronology of action we talked about, you must remember, from vasana comes thought, from thought comes desire, from desire comes action. You have vasana to paint. From the vasana to paint, thought to paint comes. Then from the thought to paint, as the thought starts flowing more and more, you develop desire to paint. From the desire to paint, it further manifests as action to paint. Now, while painting, if you have involvement in that painting, you want the painting to be recognized, get a lot of money, name, fame, and you're thinking about all these things while painting, those thoughts will create vasanas in you. It will form impressions. So, from vasana thought, from thought desire, from desire action, then from action again impressions are vasanas. So this is the cycle. Vasana thought desire action, vasana. Vasana thought desire action, vasana. This cycle we all get caught. Now, a Gnani merely expresses the vasana, brings it to the level of action, but doesn't produce any more impressions, any more vasanas, because no expectations. It, like I said, a flower doesn't have any expectation whether it will become a garland. And having become a garland, it will have no expectation whether it is going to be decorating a Bhagavan's idol or a dead body. No idea. And no expectations. When the flower is blossoming in a plant, does the flower have any such thought? It has no such thoughts. It is just enjoying, growing, blossoming. And it may end up in a garland, which may finally end up on a Bhagavan's neck or on a dead body. No problem. Exactly like that. With no expectations, they function, merely express their prarabdha. Therefore, it doesn't incur any more vasanas, any more punya papa palam. No agitations. That is what is called as incurring no sin. Now let's get on to shloka number 22.
यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते.
Yadricha labha santushtaha. Content with whatever is got unsought. Now, this is very interesting. This yadricha labha santushtaha, it can be yadricha labha or it can be yadricha alabha. Meaning, it could be profit, it could be loss. But both got yadricha, means unsought. Not seeking, merely their focus is in doing, in just being themselves. What accrues out of it, they're not bothered. So that doesn't mean they are so lackadaisical in their approach. In fact, with total presence, with complete mind in the action, they do. But what outcome, whether garland will end up on Bhagwan's neck or their body, no worries. So that's what he says. They are contented with whatever is got unsought. Now, in fact, what we must understand is such actions are divine actions. And such divine actions will not go waste. It will produce positive effect only. But they are not bothered. Because many times what happens, the tree takes many years to grow and starts yielding much later. So I know some people who have planted teak trees. It grows for many years, and after that they get money from it. So many times what happens, it is the children or grandchildren who benefit from it. So what we need to understand is the actions that are done with no interference of one's personal motive is divine action. It will not go waste. It will produce positive effect in due course. But during their lifetime, even if it is not manifested something great, they don't care. They don't bother. Edircha labha santushtaha. Edircha alabha santushtaha. Today in Bhiksha you got a nice meal. Sameness is maintained. You didn't get anything. Just drink a glass of water and be fine. This is what he's saying. They are just reveling in being, and doing happens through them. But they are never the doers. So therefore he says, content with whatever is got unsought, rising above the pairs of opposites, heat, cold, pleasure, pain, joy, sorrow, honor, dishonor, censure, praise. They are not affected by any of the pairs of opposites. See, world means pairs of opposites. Heat, cold, pleasure, pain, joy, sorrow. All these are part and parcel of life. You understand? So they have risen above the pairs of opposites, meaning the pairs of opposites do not affect them because their identification is with the changeless substratum. These changing factors do not affect them. Then, vimatsaraha, free from envy. Now, they are not envious of somebody else who happens to be successful or more successful than them. And envy is mentioned in the context to mean all modifications of the desire. The external and the internal both are conquered by them. That's what it means. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya. All they've conquered. Though he is mentioning only envy here. They have conquered envy, they've conquered arrogance, they've conquered fear, greed, everything. So, free from envy, vimatsaraha, sama siddha asiddha, siddhava siddhaucha, in both siddhi and asiddhi, in both success and failure, they remain equanimous. Though acting, he is not bound. So, again, he's talking about, an enlightened person who's chosen the lifestyle of a sannyasi, but no expectations whatsoever. See, it's not the external that causes the agitation within. It is our internal involvement that causes the agitation. We need to understand this. World by itself is incapable of causing agitation. It's by our involvement, identification with the world, and having expectations that causes agitations. So, the person who is contented, and whenever we read the word contentment, we must understand that we are not talking about pig's contentment. It's a tamasic contentment. They are not talking about that. He is talking about sattvic contentment. You understand? A person is doing action, whatever has to be done, but no expectations of the future, that it should produce result every time I do something. We understand that karmani eva adhikaraha ma paleshu kadacha, and simply go about doing by remaining in the inner being, doing what has to be done with no expectations. That's a different contentment. In fixed contentment, you are acclimatized to the outside. So, that is tamasic. Here it is not acclimatization. Here it is rising above them. It's a completely different level of contentment. So, they are doing what they have to do. But in spite of it, they understand world means pairs of opposites. You may be doing good things, but still there will be people criticizing, finding fault in everything that you do. So therefore, they are unaffected. Success, failure, joy, sorrow, whatever it may be. Sama, siddha, asiddha. In both siddhi and asiddhi. In both success and failure. Kritva pi na nibadyate. Even though doing, not bound. That's all we need to understand. So therefore, bondage is because of our mental involvement. Bondage is because of our mental involvement. World cannot bind us. It is due to our involvement we get bound. By itself, world has no capacity to bind us. We go and bind ourselves. Therefore, we have to come out of bondage. This is what we need to understand. By my foolish identification, I am getting bound. By my intelligent knowledge, I have to get out of the bondage. By foolishly, we identify with the body starts binding us. Isn't that so? See, take the example of iron rod, wooden piece, and magnet. It's a nice example Swamiji gives. You have a wooden piece, you have a small iron rod, and a magnet. You take the iron rod to the magnet, there will be attraction. You take the wooden piece to the magnet, no attraction. You now tie the wooden piece and the and the iron piece together. Now take the combination to the magnet. Will there be attraction? There will be. Even though there is attraction, the wooden piece in the combination doesn't really get affected. It seems, due to its association with the iron rod, attracted to the magnet, but wooden piece is not affected. So in the example, Atma is compared with wooden piece. Don't go about saying Atma is like wood. In the example, Atma is like the wooden piece. And iron rod, body, mind, intellect. Magnet, the world. World will have its effect on the body, mind, intellect. Like how the magnet will have its effect on the iron rod. Heat and cold will affect the body. Joy and sorrow affect the mind. Censure, praise, honor, dishonor affect the intellect. But it doesn't affect, none of this affect the Atma. So we are this combination, this Jiva. The Jiva, the combination of Atma and the body, mind, intellect. In one form is called Lakshmi Narayan, another form Vishal, Dipesh, Sakshi, etc. are all what? Combination. Body, mind, intellect and Atma. Now if you, by gaining the knowledge, not just your name being Sakshi, if you also remain a Sakshi with this knowledge to the actions of the body, mind, intellect and the pairs of opposites in the world, the affectation will be only at the level of the body. It will not be shifted to you. The burden will not be on you. But without knowledge, if just the name is Sakshi, but you get completely involved in the body, mind, intellect, then the heat and cold will affect you while it affects the body, because you are not saying I am the Atma functioning through the body, mind, intellect. You are saying I am body. So the more and more your identification is with the body, whatever happens to the body happens to you. Similarly, if it's with mind, whatever happens to the mind happens to you. Similarly, if it is with the intellect, whatever happens to the intellect happens to you. If it's with the Atma, whatever happens to you. Nothing happens to Atma, so nothing happens to you. You don't get affected. You don't get bound. So foolishly, we identify with the body, mind, intellect, and we get affected. Now with this knowledge, we have to shift our attention from the body, mind, intellect to the Atma. This is what we are supposed to do. When we wake up, oh, one more day, what am I supposed to do? Shift the attention from the body, mind, intellect to Atma. Whole day, what's my purpose? Shifting the attention from the body, mind, intellect to Atma. Through the bodily actions, through the emotions, through the thoughts, throughout the day. That's how we are supposed to do. So in spirituality, the idea is what? Shift your attention from the body, mind, intellect, from the world to Atma within. You use various techniques. Karma, Bhakti, Gyan. Karma, Bhakti, Gyan. All this you use. But for what purpose? Shifting the attention. That's all it is. So, today the mind is going into the world. Now I am identified with the body. I am thinking I am this body. So, world is affecting me. So, I need protection for this body. Right? We went through Corona. Now, war situation. All these are going on changing. It won't be same. So, if I learn something, then what do? I work, I earn this, I put insurance, this thing, health insurance, this and that, and then try to give as much protection as possible to the mind, to the body, to the mind, to the intellect, not just for me, for my whole family. So I'm constantly engaged in identifying with the body to protect it. At all levels, I want to protect that. Right? The more and more I identify what is happening. The threats keep on changing and I am always threatened. But if my attention is on the Atma, I won't. So, to protect myself, my attention goes to the world outside, to the worldly objects. Foolishly, I think they can protect me. Honestly speaking, they cannot. They may give you a feeling that they are protecting you. It's all temporary. So therefore, we learn this from the Prahlada Hiranyakashipu story. Hiranyakashipu took all kinds of boons. You understand? All kinds of boons he had. I cannot be killed during the day, not during the night, neither inside nor outside. All kinds of ways he tried to protect the ego. But finally, Narasimha came, killed him. So, what this story is trying to tell is, that which is impermanent will remain impermanent whatever you do. Don't unnecessarily get caught. You understand? Do whatever relatively you can do. Don't get involved. But our mind doesn't understand. It will still go. It will go for wealth. It will go for power. It will go for more and more knowledge. These kind of things it's going. So, one is you have to pull the mind from wherever it's going to the Atma. Other is, wherever it is going, divinize it. So what did they do? Oh, it's going to knowledge. Knowledge is Goddess Saraswati. Oh, it's going to wealth. It is Goddess Lakshmi. Oh, it is going to power. It is Goddess Durga. So wherever it went or wherever it is going, they divinize it. So your mind is dwelling on that divinity. This is one method. So that's why you have so many gods and goddesses. Otherwise you wonder why so many gods, goddesses. Hindu way of living. I don't know what to call it, Hinduism. It's not an ism. It's not an opinion of a person given to a set of people at a particular place for a particular time. It's a way of life. It is Sanatana Dharma, eternal wisdom. This knowledge, what it does is divinize the whole world so that 24/7, 365 days, your identification is with the divinity rather than on the mundane worldly stuff. Because what is the idea? Shifting the attention from the body, mind, intellect to the Atma. That's why you have so many gods. as many things and stuff that your mind can go to, as many gods. And yet, very beautifully, the knowledge presents and says that actually it's only one Bhagavan, one divinity. And slowly when you probe, it will go deep and say, it is not that there is only one God, there is only God, there is nothing else other than God. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. Advaita, non-dual, there is only divinity. Divinity has manifested in all these ways. The more and more you understand that, the less and less your ego will be solidified. It will start becoming more and more liquidated. It will become liquid and gaseous, and finally you transform, go beyond the ego. That's the idea. So, content with whatever is got unsought. See, to the extent we gain this knowledge, we get the confidence. कहीं भी जाके जी लेंगे, जो भी सिचुएशन में जी लेंगे, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? See, a person, forget about this highest knowledge and all, even in the worldly level, relatively, if you live your life on fundamentals, no, you will be able to live in any context. Those who have no foundation laid properly, those who are not living on certain principles, they get into trouble. They are the ones who get into trouble. Just one gross example I'm giving. Shakespeare beautifully says, costly thy habits that thy purse can buy, neither a borrower nor a lender be. You understand? In Hamlet, the minister of Denmark, his name was Polonius. Polonius is giving a piece of advice to son Leatus when he goes to France for higher studies. So in that piece of advice, one of the advices he gives is, costly thy habit that thy purse can buy, not that thy credit cards can buy. Costly thy habits that thy purse can buy. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Don't be a borrower. Don't be a lender. Be a giver. Even if you are in that business, when you give it as a giving, in the attitude level. If it's lending, it destroys friendship, it destroys relationship, it destroys peace, it destroys everything. So if you live your life on such foundations, on such fundamental principles, during difficult circumstances, during good going circumstances, you will be managing beautifully, wonderfully. So that's what he's saying. Content with whatever got unsought. Why you have to be worried? The focus is on the foundation, fundamentals. You laid a beautiful foundation. Your foundation is Atma here in this context. So when you have the knowledge as your foundation, then you will be contented. And with contentment, you will be acting. You will go about trying to improve. Not because you're agitated. It's joy. You understand? Even winning or losing is not your real interest. You will end up in winning many times. But still, you are there because you enjoy doing that action. So he says, content with whatever is God unsought, rising above the pairs of opposites. Dvandva atitaha. Then vimatsaraha, beyond envy. See, when you are enlightened, your focus is on the consciousness. And consciousness is one homogeneous mass. There are no two consciousness. See, the consciousness behind me, the consciousness behind you, the consciousness in you, the consciousness in me, they are not two different. How they are not different? Why can't they be different? We explain this. When you bring in differences between two things, it is always based on the qualities. You understand? Both may look similar. One is made of brass, one is made of gold. So the difference comes because of the qualities. Substance has qualities. Substratum, consciousness, has no qualities. So in consciousness, you cannot bring in differences. So the consciousness in you, the consciousness in me, the consciousness in all of us, one and the same. So there is no otherness. When there is no otherness, how can there be envy, jealousy, greed, fear, arrogance? There can be nothing, none of this. How can you be envious? If there is somebody else, then there is envy possible. Isn't it? And there is nobody else other than the Atma, other than the consciousness. You understand that all are nothing but divinity in different names and forms. How is there possibility of any envy? So he says, no possibility of the modifications of desires. And the mind is equanimous when the actions succeed and action not succeeding. No problem. Always a Gnani will go by the present action. Was it done correctly? Once it's done, fruit, no problem. How many people even knew Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa during his days? How many people who knew went to him, gained the knowledge? Very few. Now Ramakrishna mission, established by Swami Vivekananda at the beginning, by other followers, many years ago. Now you go and see in any Ramakrishna mission, thousands and thousands of people are studying and benefiting. So they are not bothered. During their lifetime, hardly anybody. So success, failure, they simply go about doing what's the right thing. That's it. Keep on sowing the seed. That's what it means. Equanimous in both success and failure. See, sometimes it's easier to be equanimous in failure. In success, to be equanimous is not a joke. To be successful and be grounded, it's not easy. So you must reflect on this. And he says, equanimous in both success and failure. We think failure is the difficulty. No. Success is the problem. We become arrogant. We become, egoistic in success. We forget the dharma many times during success. So to be balanced in success is possible only if you have knowledge. So such a person whose actions are backed by knowledge, his actions are not binding, though acting is not bound. So we bind ourselves acting ignorantly. We free ourselves acting with knowledge. Knowledge removes the shackles. Ignorance puts us into bondage. That's what we must understand. More and more aware you become, you will be acting spontaneously, but you will not get into any bondage. So, while we need to strengthen the intellect and sharpen the way we think, all that, we also need to, what do you call, make the spark of awareness in us of the divinity to become a conflagration of awareness. You have to become more and more aware of the truth. Be in it all the time. Let's conclude now. Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.